Good morning, Rod. Welcome
Morning,
to my
James.
house. Come on in on this beautiful, lovely May day.
It is beautiful outside, isn't it?
Thank you for coming.
We're glad to be here with you today.
Thank you. This house has been a labor of love for the last 7 months, but I've loved every inch of it, doing all of it. And let me tell you a little about the house, first of all. It was done in the Victorian revival style, the Gothic revival. And I was delighted to see how many of these Gothic revival styles houses have survived in the Ohio Valley. They're very rare elsewhere. The house was built and completed in 1860 on the eve of the Civil War. And it has some special features I'd like to share with you. For one, this walnut staircase, solid walnut, is totally unsupported or cantilevered. And it took a craftsman, I'm sure, of quite an incredible knowledge to build this and engineer this. A lot of immigrants came over from Germany during the 1850s, 40s, and 60s, and I'm sure somebody probably from Germany built this staircase. It's totally unsupported, and I love the curve, and I think it's the focal point of the house. It certainly sold me in the house. The walnut woodwork on the first floor is all original, as are the shutters on the windows. And let me point out a few features of this room, this hallway. This is what's called an etagere, or whatnot in modern terms, and it was made by a company here in Cincinnati called Mitchell and Ramelsburg, and they're in business in the 1850s and 1860s, so this is current with the house. It displays old Paris or Vieux Paris porcelain, which was a mania for collecting it back in the 1850s and 60s, and it's getting hard and scarce to find. I had to have one Gothic chair to match my Gothic revival house, so this is it. And over here we have what is known as a tete-a-tete, or a conversation chair. People could face each other and talk and speak. And I wanted one high-style room from 1860, as it would have been furnished at that period. The rest of my house is furnished eclectically, but this is how a better parlor would have been furnished in 1860. So let's go in here. This room is furnished in the style called Rococo Revival, and it was the high style of the 1860s. And the furniture, the large 7-piece matching set of rosewood pierce carved furniture is by J.W. Meeks in New York, a fine cabinet maker. And his competitor was John Henry Belter, and this is one of his chairs, made out of laminated rosewood and pierce carved. And the mate to the etagere in the hall is here. I have two. And more old Paris or Vieux Paris porcelain, a Parian vase of the period. And over here on the mantle are my favorite old Paris vases that I have. There's a gentleman checking out a young lady who's sleeping. I think that's kind of cute. And this bust in the corner is a marble bust called Mona Lisa of the Vineyard. The portraits are not family portraits, but they are of the period. And Rod, the gasolier above you is from Canada. It's circa 1850 to 1860, the light. The window treatments I transported from my home in Alabama, and they fit here exactly, which was a wonderful, wonderful thing. My latest acquisition is this needlepoint sofa, which I think is amazing because of the hours it must have taken to cover this in needlepoint, front, back, and sides. And I love the pattern. And the rug is of special note because it is Brussels carpeting, and very rare because we did not have broadloom back in those days. It was done in 3-foot wide strips that were sewn together. And this is a very valuable rug, which I've never seen one for sale before. I got the only one I've ever seen, and I'm so happy to have it. Let's go into my bedroom now on the first floor. This room, I suspect, was used as a back parlor or family parlor or maybe a library study. And it's where I sleep now. And we have a bed by Mitchell and Ramelsburg from Cincinnati from the 1860s. Again, the original walnut woodwork on all the windows and the shutters to match. And more old Paris porcelain on the mantle. And I'm very proud of this chair, which is so ornately carved. It's in the Rococo Revival style as well. It's walnut. And we have 2 more Velter chairs here. We'll go now into what was originally the original dining room to the house and is now my study, library, and dining room. My lived-in room, the biggest room in the house that I use all the time. I enjoy my bay window and all the light that filters through here, and it's a good place to display portraits, which I have a great deal of. The chandelier or gasolier is from the early 1850s, late 1840s. It came from Philadelphia. And it's a 4-tier gasolier with really good crystal. Some turn of the century Tiffany lamps on the tables complete the look. And the table and chairs are of the Empire period, 1830 to 1850. And what's on top of the table are what is known as lusters. And I have a passion for lusters. I have many of them in my house. They were always expensive and they still are. Here we have a French Aubusson needlepoint carpet, handmade. Along with a needlepoint chair I'm very fond of. And over here we have a portrait that I did when I was an art major in college. It was my final project. So this painted lady is over 50 years old now. This is she.
So you did that yourself, James?
Yes, I did. I was an art major.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you very, very much.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Would you like to see the kitchen?
Sure, let's see that too.
I'm very fond of Tiffany style hanging lamps, and here's one here from the turn of the century. It's not by Tiffany. He had many competitors, but it's one that I could afford. Because all of the house is done in an antique fashion, I wanted to have one clean contemporary room, and I like white, so I made this room as modern as I could make it. The cabinets were originally knotty pine. I just had them painted because one could spend a fortune on a kitchen remodel. I didn't want to do that. Did you want to see my terrace?
Sure.
Here we have a laundry area. This is one of my favorite parts of my house because I'm out here all the time reading.
Oh, it's beautiful, James.
Thank you. It's a lovely place to be on a nice day with a cool drink and enjoying the birds and the quietness of Maysville.
It's very beautiful out here. We couldn't have picked a better day, could we?
I don't think so. We lucked out.
Yeah, we certainly did. So if you could tell me one thing you love about living here in Maysville, what would it be?
Well, I think there's 2 things. It's the people who are so incredibly friendly. I feel so welcomed here. And also, of course, the architecture and the topography. I love the way it sits stacked up on hills like a little San Francisco. I love all the amount of homes and churches that have survived throughout the years. I'm so impressed by the architecture and by the whole Ohio Valley in general. It's just the best kept secret, I think.
Yeah, it is quite beautiful here, isn't it?
Every season.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to thank you very much for opening the door to your house to allow those of us who are curious and being able to share a few of your antiques and things with us. It's been wonderful, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be in here.
It's indeed my pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You as well.
Bye.